Oh, hey. What's doing, buddies?
Oh, hey, Shohei. More like Shohei. Showtime. Covino and Rich on Fox Sports Radio. I'm Covino. That is Rich Davis. What, you got a date tonight? You got dressed up. You're looking handsome.
I got my Travis Matthew waffle sweater on.
Oh, that's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
The old Travis Matthew action. So, Lowenkron is here. Iowa Nosferatu Sam is here. And Danny G and Jay Stu. We have lots to get to. Wednesdays, Mike has his words of wisdom. You got to say it verbatim for prizes. Plus midweek major, Tom Brady, and more. But first, we be rocking out. Let's go.
Yes! Doing it live from the Fox Sports Radio studio. And after the show, we got our podcast up and running. Each hour, a best of. And again, you can catch a lot of the videos on the Fox Sports Radio YouTube page. I do want to talk about odd stuff that you just missed along the way. Apparently, there was a debate with Iowa Sam and Jay Stu and the Gottlieb show about Nosferatu.
You know what happens? It becomes 3-4 on one, and they all start gaslighting Iowa Sam. That's what happens. They start bullying the poor guy. That little fuzzy-headed ninny muggins. What's up, Sam?
Hey, buddy.
I mean, gaslighting is the right term here. No, it's not the right term because they didn't realize that
Bullying.
Everybody else knew about Nosferatu except for them. There's
so many pop culture references to Nosferatu. We'll explain, and I'm surprised because Jay Stu is a worldly guy. Jay Stu, very not only handsome and lovable and huggable, but knowledgeable. I'm surprised he doesn't know Nosferatu. We'll explain.
Yeah, we'll get into some dumb
Isaac's
debates.
over here shaking his head.
Isaac Lowenkron sort of resembles Nosferatu. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey, just call him Eli Manning and shut him up, Lowenkron.
No.
Isaac Lowenkron.
All right, so Lowenkron's got
Kidding,
your updates.
Isaac. He's
He's shaking his head in disgust, but we have lots to get to. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I think there's more people hanging out with us, safe to say, than we're at the Marlins-Rockies game, right?
You think?
At least you hope.
I mean, there's a lot of people hanging out with us more than a Bananas game, but we had that conversation a couple days ago, and ever since, we still are getting feedback from random friends and coworkers. The whole, would you rather be a Colorado Rocky or a Savannah Banana if money wasn't an issue? There was that stat. Some are saying it's not necessarily true, but they're saying there was like 100-something people at the Rockies-Marlins game. And you know what? We got to give credit now because this may be the only time this year the Rockies won a series. Did you see that? They won 2 or 3. Am I the only one clapping? Am I the only one in the stands?
There's only 137 people there.
Yeah,
Golf clap because
let's
there's like
go.
5 people.
If there's only 137 people there, did it really happen? There's
True.
more people at a Little League game, and that's not even a joke. That's crazy. That doesn't even sound right. Makes no sense. So anyway, thank you guys for being here, hanging out with us, and joining us at our party, too. We're having a big party in Vegas, June 20th, 21st. Hope to see you there. Details at Covino and Rich. And let's get into it, man. Tom Brady in the news.
This is great. Tom Brady, I feel like, much like many people, when they retire from playing sports, you get to see a side of them that you're like, oh, man, if that was around during your playing career, I probably would have liked you even more. I look at Tom Brady as a guy that I respect and like, but even more post-retirement.
Tom Brady's definitely opened up a lot ever since leaving New England.
So was Bill Belichick.
Yeah, oh my God. Does New England do that to a person?
By the way, they made Patriot documentaries too soon. We need to see how the Brady and Belichick stories unfold before we take a really good look back,
The
right?
real Brady and Belichick.
Like, what did they do? The man in the arena with Tom Brady? How about we wait 10 more years and see how Belichick's life story unfolds and how Brady's does?
Yeah, we needed the after hours rated R version of that documentary. So after a Super Bowl, Tom Brady's 10-year-old son attended an after party that featured Snoop Dogg and women on poles, apparently. That's the report.
Well, not the report. He said it on his podcast.
Well, I'm just reading the headline. The report. It says report, so I'm reading report. Okay, get off me. We're having the time of our life, and I'm like, holy cow.
Says the report.
If he tells his mother, I ain't going to see this kid for a long time.
Well, we've also heard Tom Brady say that after the roast, which he loved every minute of, he's like, oh, no, I didn't think how this would affect my kids.
It's courtesy of the
And my
Let's
ex-wife.
Effin' Go pod, but that is the report. And I'm Ron Burgundy.
The report.
So I'm just reading you the report. And it got us thinking about things you shouldn't understand, things you shouldn't have seen.
Yeah, things you shouldn't have heard. Don't you have a story about walking in on something weird when you were a kid?
Yeah, but first, can I tell you Mike, who runs this place's story?
Who?
Mike, who runs this place?
Never heard of him.
Based on the
Who?
Tom Brady report and what he said on the Let's F and Go podcast, Mike, who runs this place, and we're going to get his words of wisdom later on.
Mike also brought a 10-year-old to a stripper party?
No. He said when he was a young warthog, when he was a young boy, I don't know, between the ages of 10 and 13, let's say.
You know how big Mike, who runs this place, looks like an old Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Yeah.
Did he once have hair like stunning Steve Austin?
Even when he was 13, he looked like an old man. I'm kidding, Mike.
I've seen pictures of Mike with hair.
Yeah,
and
me
he's-
too.
Well, have you seen him on Supermarket
he's
Sweep? He
quite
was
the
a
stallion.
stud.
He's quite the
He
stallion.
was a stallion. They called him
still
the
a stallion.
bear. They called him the doctor of love. I know. He was breaking hearts. So Mike was having a sleepover with his pal, like kids do, right? And he had to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. And he said he's, going through this hallway at his buddy's house.
Took a timeout from playing Pac-Man.
Probably doesn't know which way to go because it's not his house and it's dark. And
Where am I going?
He makes a wrong. He follows the sounds, probably.
I even picture him with a low voice as a kid, like, where am I going?
Yeah. So he's feeling around for the bathroom, and he says he sees his buddy's parents going at it. And he goes, and the worst part, he said they were, let's just say they were the combined weight of one of your favorite tag teams as a kid growing up.
He was like the big boss man and Akeem,
Yes.
the African
He
Dream.
said it was like,
Going at it like boxing?
oh, yeah. Something
okay.
like that.
All right.
Yeah. They were going at it for a few rounds, Danny G.
An intense tickle fight.
He said it sort of scarred him. The visual is still burnt into his memory. And, he shouldn't have seen that. And I have another similar story to that. When I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I remember sitting there, I was playing Marble Madness. This is a true story. Playing Marble Madness
Underrated game.
on my NES. My buddy Scott comes walking into my bedroom, and he's beat red and like smirking. I'm like, what, dude, what? And he's like, bro, I just saw your mom getting undressed from work. Yeah, and he saw it. Or maybe he should have seen that. I don't know, because he seemed pretty happy about it. So things you shouldn't have seen, but you did.
Or things you shouldn't have heard.
Yeah, because Tom Brady's kid saw some things.
Can't
polls.
unsee those things.
Can't unsee it. As a kid, I remember this. This is a true story. Growing up in Union, New Jersey, there was a nudie bar connected to the local bowling alley, which years later, turned into an all-nudie bar.
Bowling wasn't bringing in the big bucks.
I guess so. Yeah, it's a true story. And I remember as a little kid, I opened the door. I guess I shouldn't have opened the bowling alley. And I was like,
Did you find one that your fingers fit in?
No,
I'm
but I
talking about
remember-
bowling balls.
bowling balls.
Bowling
I had to
balls.
be honest to God, guys. Like, when you bowl with your buddies, like 11, right?
right?
Thanks for clarifying, Rich.
Yeah. I opened the door, and this older woman looks at me. I'm just a little boy, and she gave it a little smackaroo mid-dance, and I was like, what the hell? I don't know if I should have seen that.
You saw the door open?
Ever since then, I wanted to bowl every weekend. My parents were like, why does he love bowling
It's
so
so
much?
odd. Covino had a 200 average when he was 12.
Every weekend I was at the alley. But that nudie bar turned into an all nudie bar connected to the bowling alley. True story.
Your favorite bowler was Parker Bone, right?
Yeah, Parker Bone. And my personal story, Rich, based on the Tom Brady thing, my other personal story that you were alluding to, my report, Steve's report, is I remember I was a little kid, and I was in my grandma's room. I don't know what happened, but she was getting dressed, and I didn't think anything of it, but I saw in the reflection of the mirror, I saw my grandma topless, and I was like, whoa! Dude, because you're like, whoa, that's my tita. I saw my grandma.
You saw some
Top?
Tita.
Yeah, I
You saw some Titas, didn't you?
Yeah. No, true, Sam.
Those are some floppy.
I was like,
tortillas.
oh my God, I can't unsee that. I was like a little scarred for life. Seriously, I saw some things I shouldn't have seen. And that's the story of Tom Brady's son. He was 10 years old, saw some things he probably shouldn't have seen, and Brady was talking about it. So we open it up to you, Fox Sports Radio Nation.
Or maybe a place or something happened. I probably shouldn't have brought my kid there. Like, a lot of people bring their kid to a bar or somewhere where it's like, man, maybe I shouldn't have.
Were we all is this just a me memory, or did anyone else's mom bring them to a bar to get their dad who was inside the bar? Because that happened to me. Swear to God. My mom
really
would
funny.
send me into the bar to get my dad, and I'd be tugging on his pant leg. Mom says you got to come home.
My mom brought me to the police station to get my dad.
Hey, see?
True story.
I'm not sure we should have seen that, Danny G, but we did. And we're better for
But
it.
remember when you were a kid, you even had that feeling of like, I don't think I'm supposed to see this?
Yes.
My dad played poker at like a grimy underground game.
Oh, boy.
In like, like the basement of the VFW hall.
Yep.
Everyone's smoking cigars. They got like a pay-per-view fight on.
Wood paneling.
There's probably like floozies of the night there.
Oh, floozies
and I
of the
remember
night.
being like, my dad forgot like his keys or something. And my mom's like, run them into your father. And I felt like, remember when the kids in Goonies went into that abandoned house where the Fratellis were? And they're like, we're not supposed to be here.
Well, you know,
That's
this
the
is
feeling you get.
so funny, man. It's the premise of A Bronx Tale as well. Little Calogero. Little Calogero is sitting there on the stoop in the Bronx, and there's a little bit of a tussle. The kid thinks it's over a parking space, but it's not. It's gangster stuff, mob stuff, and he watches a murder. It's the story of Chaz Palminteri. He made that movie, but he saw some stuff as a little kid that he shouldn't have seen, and he wasn't a snitch. He kept it to himself, and that's what the story's all about. So, again, we're talking about this because Tom Brady was talking about his son. Let's get to your phone calls.
Yeah, what did he say? He said when his son was 10, there was a Super Bowl after party with Snoop Dogg, weed, and
women on
dancing,
poles,
And
yeah.
like that was, and he said if his ex-wife had found out, no bueno.
He said, man, I'm not going to see this kid for a long time. So, based on that, and honestly, it sounds bad, but it's all in fun. That's just life, right?
I mean, back in the day, if you grew up in the 80s, how many pictures did your parents take of you with like a cigarette hanging out of your mouth or holding a beer in the washing machine? Like,
Absolutely.
it was growing up back then.
It was different,
You know,
and
I'll give you a modern day one. We live in L.A., and of course, weed is legal
honestly,
here.
I'm sure it was a fun moment for Tommy and his little son.
In fact, marijuana is legal most places now, right? It didn't dawn on me. My wife was out for the day, and I remember my son wasn't born yet, so I was with my daughter, who was in a stroller. I'm pushing a stroller on Ventura Boulevard, and I remember my wife saying, like, hey, do you want to get some of those edible drinks later? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I went to go into the weed shop with the baby stroller, and that's not allowed. And they made me feel like I was the worst human ever. I'm like, kids are allowed in liquor stores with their parents, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
was it
of
the
course.
stroller itself that was prohibited,
I don't
or
know.
the infant child,
Like this,
or both?
This like burnout that worked at the weed shop looked at me like I was
Kid's not going to remember anything.
like the worst human. Yeah. My
Yeah.
daughter might have been 6 months old, and I was
she's
like,
not her brain. It can't record those things yet.
and I was like, yes, all right, just fun fact, so you
She
know.
wouldn't know what it is anyway. She'd be like, "Oh, you're in some kind of little store."
So
Yeah.
things
That's
you
it.
shouldn't have seen, but you did, and now you can't unsee it. Once the toothpaste is out of the tube, that's it. It's burnt in your memory forever. Let's chop it up. Let's get involved.
Just also proving Tom Brady's got real good stories, and
he was a good sport about it too. Like, I don't know. I think it kind of makes him cooler. I think it is a rite of passage growing up. You see things, especially kids today. Give me a break.
I have a
What
question.
kids are seeing today on social media and on the internet.
oh my God, yeah.
You know,
When you had to give a hobo to buy a $10 porn magazine, kids can just Google now. It's terrible. We got to work for it. By the way, that's another thing. My dad listens, so maybe he'll learn this for the first time. You ever like go through your parents' stuff because you're just being a nosy kid?
well, you sort of are a modern day Kimmy Gibbler, Budinsky type of guy. Dickie Gibbler.
You tell me no one else in this room just happened to be in their parents' room, and you're like, you were looking for something like, I wonder if Dad has magic markers
My
or something.
dad had no possessions. My dad was designated one drawer in the whole bedroom. He had a shoehorn and a pack of cards. My dad had nothing.
You never
Still has nothing.
You never happen to stumble upon one of your dad's nudie magazines?
No.
Ever?
Never, no.
What if your dad had a faux drawer that was like a fake drawer that like was underneath the original drawer, and then that's where all the good stuff was? Like
Oh.
a gun, nudie magazines,
like a pack of cigarettes?
pack of cigarettes.
His little stash of
Some-
alcohol?
yeah.
Cocaine? What?
Some
Man, I
different
saw some
identities,
stuff.
different passports.
Some Polaroids of all the neighborhood women? What?
Dad has magnums?
Iowa
don't know if
Sam's
I
dad
should've
was
saw
Matt
this.
Damon.
Yeah, different IDs. My dad is Jason Bourne.
What's going
What
on
the
here?
hell?
The premise of every cheesy movie.
That's really funny. So, based on that, let's get into your stories and share a little bit. You know why? Because everyone thinks you are stuffy like Tom Brady.
Well,
Prove to us that you're not.
That was part two of the question, I thought, was, first of all, what is your story a la Tom Brady when you saw or heard something you shouldn't have? But I got to ask this because it's on my mind. If the Tom Brady and Bill Belichick we're getting now were the ones that were the dynasty, would we have hated them as much?
No way. No, because they become way more likable. Or maybe they were so business back then that now they unleash and they've let loose because they were so buttoned up for so long.
That if in the 2000s, Belichick was,
That's a
hanging
question
with
in itself. You think they were like that then, or they've evolved into that?
or were they just covering it up because they were so business?
I don't know.
But I'm
That's
saying
a great question.
If you had lighthearted TB12 and Bill Belichick that was chasing 20-year-old tail back in the 2000s, would they have gone from hateable New England, Boston area dynasty to like, they're sort of cool?
It would have been more of a circus for sure. Like, wow,
They're
what a
more,
bunch of characters.
The thing is, they're more like Gronk than you think.
Probably.
Gronk just wasn't covering it up.
Right. So we
Roger
got
that.
stories. What are yours? Who do you want to talk to?
Let's say hi to Tony in Oregon. Tony, COVINO and Rich, what's up, man?
Hey, great topic, you guys.
Thanks, man.
It takes me back to my first house where I think my neighbor Chuck lived there till I was about 12 years old. Used car salesman, had some money and a swimming pool, and he'd bring over ladies of the night, and they like to float around in the pool with no clothes on, and we'd climb the tree, and we enjoyed it. Probably shouldn't have been seeing it, but I'm glad we saw it.
You know what? You made me think of a story COVINO's told many a times on our Patreon back in the Sirius XM days. On your way to school one day,
True story.
COVINO cut through a neighbor's yard. You know when you realize there's a way shorter way? Like if I just cut through this neighbor's yard, I could cut my commute, my walking.
Yeah, the amount of fences we climbed as kids in the 80s and 90s.
right.
Yo, kids will never know. Now as an adult, if some kid cut through my yard, I kick their ass.
Yeah, we were cutting the yards left and right, and I heard a woman go, "Hey!" And I thought someone was gonna yell at me, right, for cutting in the yard, and she flashed me. And I took this path.
That's not what I was expecting.
Oh, yeah. And I took this path every day waiting for her to come out again, and it was a one-time thing.
Oh, man.
It was just a one-time thing. But, man, changed my life.
You're trampling my hostas. Now look at this.
Yep. So things you shouldn't have seen. Maybe it was a late-night movie that you shouldn't have seen. Maybe it was something that your parents were doing. Share the story. You saw it. It's all good. You survived. People overreact, too, not that big of a deal. I'm sure Brady's son is just fine, and it's a funny memory looking back.
You know that my dad's been known to be like the life of the party type of guy.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure he loves me sharing this story, but he's an old man. He's a 70-year-old guy living life. I'm pretty sure the story goes we were all like a family party with my mom and dad's friends, and everyone was drinking, probably doing God knows what. And late night, all the kids were, when you slept over like your parents' friend's house on that random, the one time? Everyone, we're sleeping over. Everyone was drinking too much. I think I heard some splashing. And the story goes that some of the adults were skinny dipping, and my dad was one of them. My mother was furious. Your stupid father.
Oh, little Richie shouldn't have seen
I remember
that
looking
one.
out the window being like, what's going on out there?
Speaking of swimming, you ever go to a community pool and throw on some goggles back in the 80s? You saw some things underwater that maybe you shouldn't have seen.
True.
I don't know how to explain what I'm talking about.
Hygiene wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah, but I remember putting
Also,
goggles.
hands doing weird things.
Grooming took a backseat back then.
Grooming definitely took a back seat back then. It was the 80s at the local Y or Elks Club or whatever pool, Knights of Columbus. You're like, oh, my goodness, what's going on under there?
Chris, Ohio. You're on with COVINO and Rich.
Hey,
What's up, man?
what's up, fellas? Always love listening to your show on the way home.
Thanks, man.
My story isn't as X-rated as this conversation has gone so far, but I want to share about my first trip to the dog pound at the Cleveland Browns game. It's about 6 or 7 years old. This is 99, 2000 time. Browns are playing the Bengals. My dad wants to break me in, so we're sitting in the dog pound. And for the Bengals, Akili Smith runs out right in front of the dog pound. He's the quarterback for the Bengals at the time. Starts beating his chest, and I heard every bad word, cuss word you can think under the sun. The N-word, the F-word, the C-word,
man.
A-word. everything under the sun. And that's the only thing I could ask my dad on the way home. Not talk about the game, was just talking about what does every single one of those words mean.
Yeah,
as a,
what's going on?
6 or 7 year old. So
Chris, you bring up a good point. You were 6 or 7. I feel that way if you got little kids.
Good story.
Kavino, you got a teenage daughter now.
Yeah.
But I remember when you would go to concerts with her when she was like 8, 9, 10, and you start smelling all the weed at a concert.
Yeah, you have to
I know.
explain.
I've had friends tell me their kids are like, "Mom and Dad, what's that smell?"
It's incense, honey.
Oh yeah. But that's one of those conversations that you have to have with your kids. You bring them to a concert, and everyone's high.
Those are clove cigarettes, young dear.
Clove cigarettes.
That's right. All right, back to the phones. We'll take one more phone call now and then the rest next.
You know what? I don't want to run late.
Oh, wow,
Let's take the rest of the phone calls. We'll wrap this up. And we are going to talk about a little baseball. There's a story we got to get to today, Danny G, in addition to, of course, midweek major and Mike's words of wisdom. Young athletes, should we enforce mandatory prenuptial agreements for these young dudes that get married at like 22 years old?
Maddie.
I feel like you go like Travis Hunter. There's a story, and it's like, dude.
Yeah, there's a lawyer trying to help the sports world.
Advise these young fellas. So we'll get to all that next right here, Covino and Rich on Fox Sports Radio.
Now, I mentioned to start the show that Rich looks extra handsome today.
Oh,
And
thanks,
believe
bud.
me. Yeah, I know he loves it, but it's the shirt that I was talking about. And it's that Travis Matthews. See, without even knowing, I knew because it just fit nice. And you could tell it's nice quality. Women are going to want to touch. Can I feel it? Because it looks so soft and nice. And it fits so good, you know?
What is this one called again? The Cloud?
I don't know.
believe
The
it's
Cloud
like
Collection?
the Cloud
They
Collection.
do have the Cloud Collection, but that looks like some sort of a waffle crew
It's like
or
a
whatever.
waffle cloud.
Real nice. Real nice.
Sweater.
But the T-shirts are definitely where it's at. I love that MLB collection they got. The Cloud Collection, like you mentioned, the pants, the shorts. Aren't you sick of those boxy shorts that feel like cardboard? The shorts they got are just next level. Ultimate comfort and freedom with every movement. With Travis Matthews shorts and pants, whether you're hitting the links, heading to the office, or enjoying a night on the town, they have the perfect pant and shorts for you.
Very simple, guys. Visit travismatthew.com. You're going to receive 20% off your first order if you just sign up for the email. Very simple. Just put in your email, sign up for it, and boom, 20% off.
It's Covino and Rich on Fox Sports Radio. Are you ready?
Yes! We talk about pop culture. We talk about sports. We talk about life.
It's a friendship on the radio. When you talk about the best athlete in the world, you're probably thinking Jim Thorpe, right?
I'm thinking Bo Jackson.
I'd have to throw myself at the age of 12 into the conversation.
You are the home run champion. When you find the commonality between sports and life, those analogies and conversations are the best. You were dating some girl, and you were like, "Hey, babe, let's watch The Sixth Sense." Her mom walked in. Can you believe he was dead the whole time?
I wanted to get up.
Well, slow down, Dana White.
I don't want to say It's never boring.
If the Chiefs win,
Sorry, Patrick Mahomes here. What do you mean by if the Chiefs win?
Our friendship is real. It's authentic. You can't fake the fun.
we're the type of guys you'd want to hang out with at a sports bar. Best way to pick someone up at a bar?
Yeah.
Go up to a cute girl and say, "Oh, look at that bozo over there," and I like point to you. We could make fun of each other, poke each other a little bit.
I call him Blubber Lips, Rich Davis, because he never stops talking.
He thinks he's the Mexican Fonz.
Yeah.
At any point, he's wearing a chain. You have a chain on?
Always.
Of course he has a chain on.
That's like asking me if I'm wearing cologne right now. Of course I am. We take a lot of pride in being inclusive and interactive on our show. Just the more the merrier.
Josh, Covino thinks that every man should own a leather jacket.
I only wear vegan leather.
Can you believe this guy?
I can't believe this guy. We have a very special connection with our audience, our listeners. People feel that friendship.
And I appreciate y'all so. I love it.
It's all for you. Thank you.
Mike Tyson, Covino, loves to just challenge us with random Mike Tyson trivia.
Which accomplished celebrity purchased my sprawling Connecticut estate?
I'm going to go 50 Cent.
You are absolutely correct, 50 Fan. I love it song.
You can't schedule a big event
You
during
can't.
a big sports moment.
My family member scheduled their wedding the same night as a Julio Cesar Chavez fight. Everyone was glued to that fight instead of doing the electric slide.
This is weak.
Unbelievable. You're very tricky.
America, you got sports, you got fun, you got us.
Covino and Rich.
We're crushing it.
It's Covino and Rich on Fox Sports Radio. Are you ready?
Yes! We talk about pop culture, we talk about sports, we talk about life.
It's a friendship on the radio. When you talk about the best athlete in the world, you're probably thinking Jim Thorpe, right?
I'm thinking Bo
joking.
Jackson.
I'd have to throw myself at the age of 12 into the conversation.
You are the home run champion. When you find the commonality between sports and life, those analogies and conversations are the best. You were dating some girl, and you were like, "Hey, babe, let's watch The Sixth Sense." Her mom walked in. "Can you believe he was dead the whole time?"
I wanted to get up.
Well, slow down, Dana White.
I don't want to say It's never boring.
If the Chiefs win,
Sorry, Patrick Mahomes here. What do you mean by if the Chiefs win?
Our friendship is real. It's authentic. You can't fake the fun.
we're the type of guys you'd want to hang out with at a sports bar. Best way to pick someone up at a bar?
Yeah.
Go up to a cute girl and say, "Oh, look at that bozo over there," and I point to you. We could make fun of each other, poke each other a little bit.
I call him Blubber Lips, Rich Davis, because he never stops talking.
He thinks he's the Mexican Fonz.
Yeah.
At any point, he's wearing a chain. You have a chain on?
Always.
Of course he has a chain on.
That's like asking me if I'm wearing cologne right now. Of course I am. We take a lot of pride in being inclusive and interactive on our show. Just the more the merrier.
Josh, Covino thinks that every man should own a leather jacket.
I only wear vegan leather.
Can you believe this guy?
I can't believe this guy. We have a very special connection with our audience, our listeners. People feel that friendship.
And I appreciate y'all's show. I love it.
It's all for you. Thank you.
Mike Tyson, Covino, loves to just challenge us with random Mike Tyson trivia.
Which accomplished celebrity purchased my sprawling Connecticut estate?
I'm going to go 50 Cent.
You are absolutely correct, 50 Fan. I love his song.
You can't schedule a big event during
can't.
a big sports moment.
My family member scheduled their wedding the same night as a Julio Cesar Chavez fight. Everyone was glued to that fight instead of doing the electric slide.
This is weak.
Unbelievable. You're very tricky.
America, you got sports, you got fun, you got us.
Covino and Rich.
We're crushing it.
Covino and Rich talking about things you shouldn't have seen. Things you can't unsee, but you did. You saw it. 877-99 on Fox's Fox Sports Radio. It's a story about Tom Brady. We'll explain. We're live from Fox Sports Radio studio. For over 40 years, Tire Rack has been helping customers find the right tires for how, what, and where they drive. Ship fast and free, backed by free road hazard protection with convenient installation options like mobile tire installation. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
All right,
So again, when Tom Brady won a Super Bowl, there was an after party. And his 10-year-old son was there.
After the party's the hotel lobby.
Yeah. But the after party featured Snoop Dogg and women on poles. So it got a little crazy. They're having fun. And he's quoted as saying, we're
You're
having the
gonna learn
time.
something.
Oh, he learned something. He says, we're having the time of our life. And I'm like, holy cow. If he tells his mother, I ain't going to see this kid for a long time. That's courtesy of the Let's F and Go podcast. So what are some other stories where you saw some stuff that maybe you shouldn't have seen, or you felt like, man, I don't know if I should be watching this right now? I got a sports-related one, Rich. I always bring up this reference because to me it's always so random and funny. And then we'll get to the phone calls and wrap it up.
Go ahead. I'm writing it down because I feel like you're going to say it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a legendary Yankees moment, right? And it's Mariano Rivera's last pitch. And I'm sure you guys have seen the clip. Jeter and Pettit come out like they're managers and they take out Rivera. And Rivera crumbles in their arms. Do you guys remember this?
I remember
and
that,
he starts crying and sobbing. And it's like, wow, this is so emotional, man. This is like way emotional. This is crazy. It's his last pitch, legendary Mariano Rivera, number 42, the last number 42. And there was a guy on the mound with them just staring at the whole thing, probably thinking, I don't know if I should be seeing this. I don't know if I should be in this moment right now. And that was catcher J.R. Murphy, John Ryan Murphy. It wasn't Joe Girardi. It wasn't Jorge Posada. It wasn't any of your famous catchers that come to mind when you think of the Yankees. It was some random catcher.
But he had to go to the mound because
And he had to go to the mound. And they almost cut him out of the moment because it just looked so odd that it was Jeter, Pettit, and Mo Rivera in this really emotional moment. And here's this guy like, I don't know if I should be here. I'm barely on the team right now.
You know what that feeling is like? When a longtime employee of a company retires, and you're sort of like the new guy,
yeah,
and you're like, everyone's paying tribute.
Miss
like,
you, man.
We've worked together decades, and you're like, I've known this guy 3 weeks.
I don't know if I should be here, but yeah, and you're just there and you witness it, but you feel like you shouldn't have. What are those stories for you?
Didn't someone ask you? You don't have to call it the person, but wasn't there a scenario because you talk for a living? Someone asked you to speak at like a wake or a funeral, and you're like, I don't know the person that well.
You know what I think? People always do that to me. So there's that. I'm like, hey, just because I'm on the radio doesn't mean I want to hop on the microphone at this event, right? But my brother was asked to do a speech at a wedding for someone he didn't even know. He's like, I don't know if I'm the guy for this. I'm like, I barely know the dude. So again, thank you guys for sharing your stories. Let's wrap it up with your phone calls. And I know Danny G has a story about a musician, I think.
We'll go rapid fire, and then, again, we'll talk a little Travis Hunter. And, like, man, some of these decisions young athletes are making. Tim, you're on in Tejas. What's up, Timmy?
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
What's up, man?
So this was when I was, like, 9 or 10. I was looking for my mom for whatever reason. I can't remember. So I just busted into, like, my parents' room, and I caught them being, getting busy.
They were doing the nasty dance.
And
the Yankee Shuffle.
I'm like at my mid-40s right now, and I'm still scarred from that.
Yeah, you know what? That's something kids should not see. But what are you going to do? That's life. But, man, can you imagine? That's never happened to anybody here, right? I hope.
No, but I hear stories. Our pal Nicole, who I do that parenting podcast with, her door lock of her bedroom apparently doesn't work, so her kids are constantly just barging in, and she has multiple stories where she had to be like, oh, Daddy was examining something I had on my inner thigh. Like,
oh, my God.
Like, no, I got sunburned, so Daddy was, rubbing lotion on me.
Things you shouldn't have seen.
Like, knock on your parents' door, kids. Just
I feel like I have this memory not clear, but it's just like an example of what we're talking about. Like, you ever at a buddy's house maybe, and your buddy's parents start fighting? You're like, yeah, I don't know if I should be seeing this right
awkward.
now. Yeah, like super awkward. Like, I'm gonna go home, I think. Later. More phone calls. 877-99 on Fox.
You're at Timmy's playing Nintendo, and his mom's like, why do you go off with your whore?
Yeah. Like, oh, man.
Should I go home?
I'm going to go home for dinner, guys.
Yeah.
Later.
Just saying. All right, Virginia. Dan, you're on.
Hey, what's happening? This is Dan in Virginia. Great show, guys.
Thanks, man.
When I was maybe like 11, 12 years old, my grandfather was in town visiting, and he was a night owl. We'd play cards, stay up at night, and we were watching TV, and late night Skinamax came on. Do you guys remember that? This is before internet and all that stuff.
Do you mean what I used to tape on VHS tapes and label 49ers versus Bears so my mom would never find it?
That's the one. Yep, exactly. You're on my radar.
There was one I remember, Bikini Car Wash Company. That was a good one.
Skinamax was great.
Good stuff. And now it was a little soft core, but it was still a lot of action for a 12-year-old. And it came on, and Grandpa, he just left it on. He never looked at me. He had it on. I looked at him. He just was glued to the TV, and it just remained like that for like 20 minutes.
Awkward.
That's amazing.
That's so funny.
I think we
dude.
all that's a conversation.
That's a
even-
common memory, I think, for everybody.
But that's like a conversation even for another day. When those weird scenes came on and you were with your folks or grandparents, my grandfather and I, he was like my best pal. Every Friday night, my grandfather and I would go to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, whatever, and we would rent like a Seagal or Van Damme movie. That was our thing. Late 80s. And there's a scene in one of those.
Your grandpa didn't take you like behind the beaded part of the video store, right?
No.
Past the saloon
But
doors.
there was I believe it was, remember the one where there were two Van Dammes, like Double Impact or something?
Yeah.
There's a shower scene where he's with a woman naked.
Oh.
And I remember the same thing where I'm like, is Grandpa going to like fast forward and turn this off? Or are we just going to awkwardly watch this together?
And Grandpa left it on.
Grandpa doesn't care.
Yeah,
Grandpa wants to see it. And old men do what they want to do.
I feel like my grandfather said, and how?
Yeah. Who's going to tell
Rich-
Grandpa no?
At home, at least, like your mom or dad could take the remote control and fast forward past the scene. They didn't want you to be in the same
Or they'll
room
go
with them.
blindfold and earmuffs, right?
But when you were at the movies with them and a scene would come on, that was so. It was like torture being like in the same theater next to your parents when something like that was on the screen.
It's so awkward too when you're a kid. Yeah,
I went
for
to see Edward Scissorhands it was my mom and I, and you're like, okay, I was probably 8. I don't even know. It was like whenever the movie came out.
Yeah.
So I was a little kid, and the scene where, and I don't want to spoil it here, but Edward Scissorhands.
I think you can spoil Edward Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands impales.
It's been 35 years.
Is it Michael Anthony Hall who plays the bully in that movie? Who's like the bad guy, the bad boyfriend?
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
He's like,
he dies?
well, let's just say he gets impaled by hands made of scissors, and my mom actually covered my. And then I like opened her fingers and watched the scene. She was like, "No!"
That is funny.
And it was like some moderate violence.
My dad would half-ass.
By the way, Doug Gottlieb just set us up. Never heard of Edward Scissorhands. Never heard of him, Sam.
You know, when you think of those movies, I remember my dad used to always watch Bachelor Party with Tom Hanks, and he would. Your parents ever do like, hey, cover your eyes for a second, and they like left it on you, like, and you'd be like, okay.
And by the way, it was an older Anthony Michael Hall.
You know,
but that movie was made in 1990. He wasn't that much older, but he played the bully. He was like a high school bully.
But we know him from all those John Hughes movies.
He looks
so-
different in the
yeah,
movie. He's
he
like
looks different.
beefier. He's like more muscular.
I did that this past holiday season. The movie Love Actually, Covino loves to point out, has like some nudity in it. And I was watching with the family, and then I was like, yeah, Covino's right. Kids, look away for a second.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if I should be seeing this right now.
Let's take one more for now, and then we'll go to our buddy Isaac for an update. Andy in Rhode Island. What's up, Andy?
Hey, Paisan!
Hey. Oh, Gabagool. What's up?
When I was a young warthog.
When he was a young one.
I walked into my dad's basement where he had a studio, and the band, they'll catch some traction, and the guys were downstairs practicing. My dad wasn't downstairs, and I got a little curious, went downstairs to see what the guys are up to. I walked into the room, and the lead guitarist and the lead singer are blowing lines.
Oh.
They close the door behind me. They put their hand over my shoulder, like, "Hey, Andy, here's some cash." So they took out a wad of money. They gave me some money, and
They gave you
I was
hush
on my
money.
way. I never-
Hush
I
money.
never
You,
said
you saw nothing, kid.
Yeah, you saw nothing, see?
yeah. All right, you know
That's
what?
hilarious, yeah.
Let's go to Isaac for an update. Isaac, what is going on, buddy?
49ers and Bears, huh? All right. Just taking some notes on that last segment.
Yo, Isaac, I'm not even joking. I found it the other day. I'm doing spring cleaning. I'm trying to condense memories. And my wife's like, what are these home videos? And I have one labeled 49ers Bears, and I kid you not, it is like Skinamax.
That's not the 49ers.
That's not Roger Craig.
That's not Tom
Jim
Rathman.
Jim McMahon?
Naked? That's a woman.
That's not Mike Ditka.
Refrigerator
Not the
Perry.
That's not the 1988 NFC Championship game. Well, we start with head coaching news because multiple outlets report that the Phoenix Suns hiring Cleveland Cavaliers assistant Jordan Ott as their new head coach, while NBA Commissioner Adam Silver confirmed today that next season's All-Star game will shift to a USA versus the world matchup. In the NHL, the Pittsburgh Penguins hired New York Rangers assistant Dan Muse as their new head coach. Tonight at 8 Eastern, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final as the Florida Panthers visit the Edmonton Oilers. Baseball today, the Red Sox beat the Angels 11-9. Boston's Don Rafaela, the game-winning 2-run home run in the bottom of the ninth inning. And finally, look out. Here come the Colorado Rockies.
Wow.
They won at Miami 3-2 today for their first 3-game winning streak of the season.
Wow.
Marlins announcer Kyle Sealaff was audibly distraught by the final result of the game. Listen.
And again, the 2-2 from Kinley to Wagaman is hit to third. And the Rockies have swept the Marlins here this week. Final score, Colorado 3 and Miami 2. Marlins will take the off day tomorrow to recuperate and get back on track Friday.
You can almost hear him gritting his teeth. By the way, the announced attendance, announced perhaps being the key word today, 6,261.
Hey,
Back to you. Announced.
Thank you. By the way, you got to mention for all the baseball fans, this Yankees-Mets, I'm sorry, these Dodgers-Mets games, even though it's only June baseball,
They really are crazy.
Have been so good, man. Danny G, first game the Mets win in extras. Last night your Dodgers win in extras.
And Max Muncy's in a zone.
He is, finally. And it's like playoff baseball.
Dude, it feels like playoff baseball. And tonight you got Canning, Gonsolin, and then tomorrow I actually won't be here because I'm going to the Mets-Dodgers tomorrow, so I'm playing hooky. Letting you know.
Don't worry, I'll be here, guys. We'll have fun without Rich.
Perfect. Listen, we got more of your phone calls, more of your feedback. We're going to talk about young athletes and prenuptial agreements next. Hang tight.
The NBA Finals are finally here, and this is your last shot to win some real cash before the season ends. The simplest way to get in on the action, downloading the Pick 6 app from DraftKings.
I've been doing this with baseball and the NBA, and I know we're talking about the NBA now, but you could do this with home runs, hits, strikeouts for pitchers. Now in the NBA, it's crazy simple. Pick more or less of at least 2 stats from your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. If you nail your picks and you're heating up, Pick 6 brings upside with payoffs up to 500 times. So if you're ready to make that finals run in the NBA, let's do it. DraftKings, baby.
Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now. Use code CRSHOW, CRSHOW. That's code CRSHOW. New customers play $5, get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Ride the upside only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.